entered the chat. So here we are. Next item of business is to review the agenda for today. Does anybody have any additions, corrections, concerns about the agenda? No. Public comment. I'm inclined to skip over on the count of not, oh.
No, that's all right. She's with us. That's
She's with
Helen
us.
from.
Oh, Helen,
Yeah.
okay. All right. And then we're ready for old business, which is in part an apology from me. I have in fact confirmed that our full delegation is in support of LD 1870. Stacy's office has had a change in personnel, and I haven't managed to navigate that, in part because, as I'd said earlier, my parents are old and I have too many children and I'm behind on my obligations. So I will continue to follow up on that. We're also waiting at some point to hear from Bill. Have you had a chance to talk to new counselors to just, have you had a chance to talk to new counselors to hear if they're open to receiving?
Or to the council in general to see if they're interested in taking up a resolution in support of the legislation.
An act to establish a climate superfund cost recovery program.
Oh, I have not.
Okay. So those are the two things that need to happen. They're not things that y'all need to do. Welcome. They're things that Bill and I need to do. But we should confirm that we haven't changed our position as a committee. Our position had been to forward the proposal to council if we had support of our delegation and if council was open to receiving that information. And unless I hear otherwise, I'll assume we're still on that path.
Can I add something?
Of course.
I spoke to Stacy Brenner,
Mhm.
who is sponsoring this bill.
Yes.
And I didn't know that she was sponsoring this bill, and I mentioned that we had been talking about it in committee. And she was very, of course, encouraging of us to push this forward, and she offered if it would be valuable to us to come in and talk to us about it. I don't know if that is, I mean, it sounds like we're sort of already there, but I just wanted to put that out there.
And we had a presentation from some of the background sponsors of the
We had a
legislation.
presentation from the Youth Climate
Yeah.
Action. So she was very familiar with that.
Right,
and
they've been
she-
working
yeah,
together
I
on the
mean,
legislation.
She said that she thought that the support from Scarborough or from any town is really valuable.
Mhm.
Even if it's going to be challenged in court and all that sort of thing. So if that perspective and if that conversation is valuable to us as a group, she offered to come in so we could certainly set that up.
That's something that you may want to offer to the council.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Because that might be the
council.
appropriate place to use
That might be a
it.
nice way to present.
Okay, so I will be in touch with the office eventually. Um, And we'll follow up on that offer. And Bill, you can follow up with council and see if that might be a way to present that.
Okay.
For our next meeting, do you want me to pull together a draft resolution tailored to Scarborough for this group to review so that if we're ready to move forward, we can move forward quickly?
Yes, please. That I would support that. And you have two
Yeah.
versions. I think there's actually one more. There are
Okay.
3 communities that have done this so far. And I think the first 2 were nominally identical with just
Yeah.
some differences in detail.
Well, depending on how quickly I can pull it together too, I can put it in a Google Doc so everyone can take a look at it ahead of the next meeting and kind of make some suggestions or revisions.
Okay. that
So we
sounds
can
good.
be ready to
Yeah.
move forward with that in January.
Yeah, I support that. I think that's a great idea.
And then the legislature will come back into session in January. They've got some critical budget stuff. This is not going to be the top of their priority list. It'll probably be at least February or March before they get to this collection of bills that have been set aside. Are there other questions about that issue? And again, my apologies, like I'm keeping my head above water, but not doing all the things I thought I might do.
Well, I mean, this one I think is one where there's not a huge, like, we're probably getting close now to when we need to,
Yeah.
really move forward, but for the first couple, discussion meetings where we've discussed it, we've had a little bit of time to
Yeah,
move it forward more slowly.
okay. Well, if we don't have any more on that, let's move on to new business, well ahead of schedule. The first item here is the Portland Metro expansion, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming you have the updates on that.
It's actually going to be Angela, so since I've just checked in with her to see when she's able to join, so if we could take up the website first.
Absolutely.
And then we'll, move on to, Metro when she's able to join us. That would be great.
Yes. And I was thrilled to see in the minutes the conversation about outreach to the community that has always been one of the tasks of this committee, but something that we haven't really done a lot of work on. And this webpage is clearly a part of that effort.
Yep, definitely. So Lydia had asked that this be added to the agenda. We kind of had started discussing it in the spring and it's fallen off a bit. So it'll be good to bring it back. I also want to give a little bit of an update in relation to this with where things are with the climate action plan, because I think that they are going to be closely related, since climate action plan is going to be focused a lot on community engagement and getting information out to folks. We'll be creating a new kind of web presence for the climate action plan, which will kind of probably end up being kind of the home for all things related to sustainability in the town, not necessarily sustainability committee, but just getting more information about our sustainability related efforts online. So that's coming very, very soon. And we have a new brand that's been developed for the climate action plan. It'll be rolled out soon, but I can share with you all that the name of the campaign is Sustaining Scarborough, with the kind of tagline of resilient, responsible, ready. And so those are kind of the themes that are going to be woven through the climate action plan and everything related to climate action and sustainability. So we have a logo, we have a name. We have a kind of a brand narrative that kind of talks about why we are doing a climate action plan and the importance of it. Really, the team of consultants that we're working with has done an amazing job listening to what we've given them so far in terms of why Scarborough is special, why we're doing this, and weaving that into a story about the climate action plan. So I think that there's going to be a lot of information from that we can pull into the sustainability committee website as well. But definitely just wanted to talk about kind of what efforts we want to include or focus areas that we want to include on the sustainability committee's webpage, because it is sorely out of date, as everyone knows.
Well, yeah, I hadn't actually opened it up in a long time, and I've done that now. And there's just not much here.
Nope, there really isn't.
And so maybe we could spend a few minutes brainstorming things that should be here.
And we had started this back at the beginning of last year. So, and I think it just was on me to keep that going, and that kind of petered out. So that's why I wanted to bring it back up to see if there was like a better way for us to approach this, or but I could open up what we had put together last time to see if we can use that as a jumping off point. Hold on, let me find that.
Yeah, that would be, I was looking for it too, Lydia, and I'm not able to easily grab it. So we can race to see who can get there first.
Okay, there you go, you're on.
Oh, I think I found it.
That's awesome, because you're in a position to share your screen.
Yeah, this is going to be a multi-step process for me in the room, so that everybody will be able to watch. All right. Step 1 is complete.
Step 2. Now there's a large two.
All right, so everybody's seeing that. Zoom, are you able to see the website information?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent, I chose the right thing then.
Oh, we made some good progress, didn't we?
Yeah, so a lot of this is going to be kind of links to resources and things like that, which I think is appropriate. And then it would be good, I think, to highlight some of the groups that work, both past work, because there are some great kind of progress that's been made in the past decade, yeah. And then what we're currently focusing on, so that could include exploring solar projects for municipal buildings. The LD 1870 and just do like little quick updates about information that this group's working on, so it's more obvious to people who might visit the page what
And so a more complete list of accomplishments, like the ordinance work, like the the solar stuff that's on there.
Yep. Yeah, so we've done a bunch of ordinances. We have the EV ordinance, we have the solar ordinance. And then I don't know if this group.
Ordinance a long time ago.
Yep. I don't know if this group had much of a role in like the LED streetlight conversion.
Yep.
But definitely since that's been before.
Definitely driven by this too.
Yeah, so kind of highlighting that work, and so it's a good way. We can also highlight the cost savings that we've achieved through
Yeah.
efforts like that.
Do you have technical support in-house to make those adjustments?
Yeah, I can do it on my
Oh,
own. Yeah,
okay,
it's just been a matter of finding the time. So since this group is pushing for this, I will make sure to make the time to make those changes.
Okay.
But what
And
about
so-
like the copy for all of that, Jamie? Is that something
Yeah, I mean,
you'll
if
pull
people
together
have,
or, yeah?
if people have information, like I can put some information up there and pull together some of that. If people have write-ups or want to pull together write-ups and email them to me or put them in this document, that would work too. What I'm going to do is going to be, I think, fairly high level, because I think that that's what people aren't going to necessarily, the public's not going to need the nitty gritty. And if they have questions or want more information, my contact information will be there and they can reach out. And then kind of having links to some of these other resources, like the lawn and garden, lawn care stuff. We've got some of that already on Conservation Commission. Recycling information, I think should point to like EcoMaines Recyclopedia, where it's an online app and website where you type in the item that you're looking to get rid of, and it'll give you recommendations on either donating it, recycling it, throw it away.
And we should have a link we should have information about the compost.
Yep, yeah,
Website.
yeah, food waste. Yeah, we'll have that information. There's some information on Public Works. I'm not sure how up to date that is, so I can check through that. And we can either house it on the sustainability page or point to Public Works. Probably makes more sense to point to Public Works since they'll be making the updates as things change. But yeah, we can get that information kind of consolidated, or at least point people in the right direction from the sustainability committee page.
Okay.
Is that it? I think so.
Okay, are there other major headers that people would like to see included? We should definitely have some pictures from Sustainable Sligo.
Yeah, for sure.
And I appreciate the analysis that you guys did on that last meeting as well. What else do you need from us to move forward?
I guess just like Lydia was saying, if anyone has any like thoughts or language that you want included, to shoot that my way. I don't know how much, since the page is not very up to date, I don't know how often people are visiting it. So I can make updates and let you all know when they're live and you can take a look at them. And let me know if you have any suggested revisions and things like that, so that we can get the information out there.
Okay, that sounds good.
Is
Thank
there
you.
another committee's page that's like you would recommend looking at? Or that gets a lot of more activity or anything like that?
I would say that Conservation Commission is more up to date.
Okay.
We were doing a lot of information, putting a lot of information there when we were working on the 30x30, like getting that resolution to council and passed, and educating the public about what that actually means. So there's more current information on the Sustainability Committee page. I'm not sure about the others. They're in various degrees of.
It may
Yeah.
also be worth touching base with South Portland and some of the other places that have active sustainability teams and just seeing what they have and the
Yeah.
resources they've developed.
Yeah, and like I was saying, that we're gonna have a much stronger presence probably early in the new year, once the dashboard for the climate action plan is put together and live. That's where initially it's going to be primarily updates about the climate action plan and how people can engage, and what what our greenhouse gas inventory is looking like in terms of, you know, where the largest contributors and things like that. And information for or recommendations for what people could do in their own homes to reduce carbon emissions, save money, things like that. So I would say let's definitely improve where we are with the Sustainability Committee page now, and revisit again once the dashboard is up and running, to see if there's anything we either want to pull in. And we'll definitely want to point to the dashboard
Absolutely.
from the Sustainability Committee page once it's available.
As I was looking at the page, I was wondering if it might be useful to have like panels for
Mhm.
the major topics.
Yep.
That all fit like on a single screen when you open it up, rather than sort of a list of things that you scroll to the bottom.
Yeah, so we are a little bit limited in how the web page itself is laid out.
Of course.
But I can play around with some layout options.
And so very little information on that landing page.
Yeah.
Really
More
just like
visual.
visual, or even if we have to just do lists, a list of topics.
Yeah.
So that you have to actually click through to get to the information,
Mhm.
so people are oriented to what information is.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah, so are there larger topic categories that you guys want represented on the page?
Can you scroll down a little bit? Okay, so we've got some efficiency main links. Yeah, that's probably the major set of things from my perspective. Others?
Yeah, I can't think of anything additional. Yeah, like resources, but then certainly like a summary, or however it looks like cleanly, like our successes, or, you know, highlights stuff from the committee. I guess
Yeah.
it will be the two separate like resources for the public, and then highlights from like the committee. And that can include the sustainability day.
Okay. I'll work on pulling something together.
Because then
Okay,
maybe
but-
like the SEO will come in through the information at the top, you know, but maybe they'll stay for information about the committee. So
Yeah. Excellent. And maybe we can get a cross link from the climate action plan page.
Yeah.
As one of our regular resources. Okay, anything else on the web page situation? Hearing none, and still not seeing Angela.
I know, I don't know what so I can't give a thorough update. All right, let me stop sharing this and reposition our screens. I cannot give an in-depth update what is all happening, but I will do my best based on what I know.
There's a poster out in the hall.
There
Should we
is a
bring that
poster
in?
out in the hall. So as an alternative to the Gorham connector that has gone away as of last fall, which was supposed to kind of help address some of the traffic congestion in North Scarborough. The Turnpike is essentially funding expansion of Metro bus service to Scarborough.
Oh, wow.
They're improving their lines in South Portland and expanding into Scarborough. There was a public workshop about this a few weeks ago to kind of hear from Scarborough residents where they want to be able to go. You know, where the bus service, I mean, obviously, we're very limited in service right now. So the focus for the Metro line will be largely on Route 1. At least initially, and possibly I think going into the Downs, has always been part of the conversation with the Downs, is to provide transit through in their development to the larger community. So I'm pretty sure that's where things are starting now. And then in addition to having a transit line, Metro is also going to pilot on-demand kind of ride share or micro transit, where it'll essentially function kind of like Uber, where you'll have an app you can call for a Metro van, and they will either take you to the Metro line, so out to Route 1 to catch the Metro bus, or to other areas within town. So this has been this pilot or this model has been used really successfully in Falmouth. It's really popular with high school kids and also the elderly to get to like the library, to medical appointments and things like that. So the town council included money in this fiscal year's budget to support that pilot. I think it's going to be a 5-year pilot with Metro for the micro transit, where they they'll subsidize it for the first several years, so people can get used to it. We can see how people kind of respond to it. Do they use it in Scarborough? Is it making a difference? And then beyond that pilot, we'll have to decide, is this something that the community wants to invest in to continue?
Okay.
So it's great. We've been saying for a long time that we need better transit options in Scarborough. So really excited that this is coming. I think that the transit line is supposed to start running sometime in 2026. But they're doing kind of planning the first half of the year to kind of figure out the routes and get people on board, so to speak, with transit. And so I
actually wanted to get to that meeting and wasn't able to.
it was a strange time, like a Saturday afternoon does not seem like the best time to engage with the public.
To get to,
Yeah.
I just couldn't get there. But again, the issue that I always raise when we talk about this is park and ride
Yeah.
access. So hoping that somebody is tracking down at least some parking spaces that can be dedicated to transit.
Yeah.
For folks that are driving to those transit.
And I'm not sure, I will look and get back to you all. There might be like an online feedback form or where like that information can be submitted to them. So
just
I
wanna
will,
make sure that continues to get on the list,
Yeah.
because that was, I mean, when I used the transit system, that was the limiting factor. And the reason I never felt comfortable trying to advertise that as really a great option for people trying to get into Portland downtown for work. But if there's no nowhere to leave your car on this end, the micro transit should have that some, but a lot of us would then still transit, and then you've got your
Yeah.
car to stop at the grocery store on your way home.
yeah, if you're commuting to work or something like that,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So yeah, that's a good point. I will check to see if there is an online option so that, I know that like one of the workshops that they were offering was fully online, so I assume that there would be a way for people to submit feedback
Okay.
to them online as well. So I'll look into that and get back to you all.
So if you would pass that
Yep.
on to Angela, I know she's heard me say it before, but I'm just gonna say it every time we talk transit, because that can be a gap.
Yeah,
And it's usually not recognized from the transit side. I know you've heard me talk about a survey I did while on the bus one day,
mhm,
and it was not even an option to tell them that you had driven your car to the bus. Like, they're just not thinking that way.
yeah,
And in the context of suburban transit use, that's a huge part of how
Yeah.
transit gets access.
yeah, that's a really good point. They are thinking, I'm sure, more in town Portland where you are walking to a bus stop as opposed to driving to a bus
Right.
stop. So I'm hoping that there will be kind of community engagement opportunities too before this is all introduced so that people can get on a bus and see what it's like and try to remove some of like the anxiety or stigma around like getting on a bus and riding a bus. Like for some people, it's all new. And so, you know, understanding how the routes work, what you do when you get on, how do you pay, things like that, just to kind of like remove some of those barriers, I think would be really helpful.
I am suddenly realizing that I've been needing to say something about community outreach without the leader,
mhm,
and wondering if it would be possible to include a one-page newsletter, paper newsletter in the tax bills. Just because, I mean, the electronic stuff is going to people and some people are seeing it that way,
mhm.
but I find that I personally am missing information when I don't have something to like paper to scan through to leave on the counter.
Yeah,
Um,
and so, so the tax bills go out twice a year, so you think that that would be,
but I mean, this is a place where we could have information about transit, or we could
Yeah.
have updates about recycling, or we could have like those sorts of push
yeah,
notifications. Even if it's only 6 months, it at least tells people that the sustainability committee has a web page and that here's where you get information about recycling and stuff like that.
yeah, I can talk to our communications manager about that to see, because I know that the stuff has gone into the tax bills in the past, so I'm not sure if there's like a process for deciding what information goes in or what doesn't, and maybe having a one pager would be an option. So we've started doing, the town has started doing inserts into the Scarborough Living magazine that comes out roughly quarterly. And so those are very much municipality specific. So the one in the fall focused a lot on sustainability and the projects that we have going on. And also about I want to say, I think it was possibly Scotto Hill Road was also one of the topics that was in that. So it's kind of like a 4-page spread in the in Scarborough Living magazine, and then it's our communications manager Allison that puts it together. So she has it also as a PDF form. So she's printing out copies and leaving them like at town hall and things like that people can just grab that insert piece.
The
So
adult ed brochure is another thing that gets distributed widely.
the what?
The adult ed brochure.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, that's one where we just need to have some forethought for that, because it gets kind of pulled together and printed so much earlier than we would necessarily anticipate. So
but those are things that Allison can start to be aware of.
yeah,
Since we don't have like the regular column in the leader.
Yeah.
To rely on to get some of this information.
yeah. And then there's the Cape, South Portland, Scarborough e-paper, which
Which is really hard to read on. Like,
It is, yeah, it's not ideal.
Clumsy.
and I also discovered, someone from the Conservation Commission told me that, they promoted Sustainable Scarborough Days happening from 10 to noon instead of from 10 to 2, which may have played somewhat into the fact that it was really, really slow in the afternoon, like Sustainable Scarborough Day
Interesting. Okay.
this year. So,
All right.
so yeah, lots of challenges with communication
Yeah,
and how to get people.
which is not the conversation we were supposed to be having today, but That's from the brain.
That's
That's a good one, though.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing along. Does anybody have additional comments or questions about the metro expansion? The poster in the hallway, talks about two different plans, one that would be higher frequency along the main route and one that would be more distributed some things. I didn't have a chance to look at it for very long as I was out there. Ron has his hand up.
Not directly at what you mentioned, but has the town ever thought about creating an app where they could actually push notifications out to people?
So we did have, an app for, this is very niche. So for trash and recycling, to remind people like when their trash day is. And that's where, some people could access like the EcoMaine Recyclopedia. But it was really low usership, and it was pretty expensive for us to maintain, so we decided, not to continue with that. But that to say, we use our social media more to get, information out to people rather than an app. Because an app is one more thing that people would need to, download and use.
Yeah, okay, just curious.
Yeah, but I found on Facebook, I am not being fed
Yeah,
the town's information, even though I have followed the
Mhm.
town. Facebook's algorithms are just,
yeah,
Okay,
you'd
that
probably
way.
need to engage with us more so that it will show up in your feed, so
well, I
like,
actually search for it about once a week.
yeah.
So that I don't miss
Mhm.
something. But still those things are not coming at me without me going and looking for them. And so that might be the benefit of some sort of push notification.
Yeah,
That people could opt into. I don't know if there's texting options that are cheaper. Now we're just talking about a whole communications plan.
all right, I just put that in the chat, but I'll share it with you guys in the room too. This is just the, just while I was thinking of it, the Metro, the page about the expansion, so there is a survey link through that. That webpage.
Perfect. And you said that email that we can access later.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I will talk to, I'll share some of these ideas, and suggestions with Allison and see, what, what options she may have considered and.
And clearly this will be part of the sustainable,
This is gonna, yeah, I mean, like I said, engagement, is a huge piece of the climate action plan and basically like identifying. Where people are and bringing the information to them and engaging with them, like where they currently are, as opposed to making them kind of come to us to participate. And then a large part of it will be, leaving us with a communications outreach and engagement plan to help us with implementation of the action plan, once it's complete. So, yeah, we're working with Kim Lundgren Associates out of Massachusetts, and they just like really impressed us with the fact that they are thinking not only of like this plan, but like we don't want it to sit on a shelf. How are we actually going to implement it, and giving us the tools so that we will be able to implement it once it's put together.
And so let's put that concept, this communications concept, on our sort of like things to keep an eye on. That will be certainly part of that, but if folks could just actively over the next month pay attention to how you're getting information from other organizations that you're engaged with. So that we'll be better ready to engage that conversation, easy for me to say.
Yeah, and even if you're like, as you're talking to people, if you're like, oh, I heard of such and such an event, well, where did you hear about that? Where did you see it? And just getting some of that information so we know.
And the other thing that we've had on our list for a while that fits into this as well is some sort of newcomer packet.
Mhm,
Every time a property changes hands, like you miss the renters that way.
mhm.
But you could have something to supply to the landlords.
Yeah, and I have brought that up with Allison too, about having at least a dedicated, like page on the website, like Welcome to Scarborough, with some of like that that information for people who are new residents.
And even if what we mailed them was just a postcard
Yeah.
and a QR code
Yeah,
to
direct
get
them to
them
that
there.
page.
But I feel like there needs to be some sort of push.
Yeah.
In new construction, and again, this is coming from our work on recycling. In new construction, when people get a new bin, there's a whole bunch of information that's in the bin when you get it. But if you buy an existing home and inherit the bins that are there, you
Yeah.
never get that information.
Yeah.
And that's a gap.
Mhm.
Okay, just wanting to make sure we keep these things on our list. Having detoured to communications. Well, unless somebody has something to add. Then let's move on to updates. Town council first. Bill, what's up over on your side?
The town council's in a new year. Election, Corey Fellows, a great guy and very capable, is the new chair.
Okay,
So we're just having committee assignments, so that will be approved at the meeting this week. So it's just the beginning of an active year. Goal session will be forthcoming. We had a little,
just got an invitation yesterday to a reception as chair of this committee. They invited committee chairs to a reception tonight at 5:30.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
so if there are things folks want me to pass along to council just while we eat snacks, let me know or send me a quick email before 5 o'clock.
Yes, 5:30.
It starts at 5:30, but if you don't send the email before 5, I'm
Yeah, I
not gonna
won't
read
get
it.
you right. I think the town council is gonna be focusing on managing growth as the number one issue. But standards for sustainability are likely to be considered. I know that John Anderson circulated a list of things that he thought were important matters for the town council to focus on this coming year, and one of those was low impact development standards. So we'll see more about what he's talking about in that regard. We did adopt a tree care ordinance in recent months. And that, let's see. I'll just read the purpose of the tree care ordinance. The purpose of the Scarborough Tree Care Ordinance is to preserve and enhance Scarborough's natural beauty and encourage healthy ecosystems, to provide air, cooling and purification, carbon sequestration, stormwater management, and to protect public health and safety. This ordinance provides for the regulation of the planting, maintaining, and removal of trees, shrubs, and other plants on town-owned properties and public rights of way. This ordinance shall designate which plants are to be planted in order to ensure right plant, right place principles are achieved. This ordinance establishes the Tree Care Ordinance Care Advisory Board and defines its membership and duties. So there's elements involved here that are very much sustainability practices. So
And that's something that this committee had talked about, that conservation took up.
Yeah, and so this is, this ordinance was the first step or a required step for Scarborough to become a Tree City USA. And so as Bill read, that it only right now applies to like public property and the town's right of way. But there is some interest in looking at how we may be able to expand or set requirements on like commercial development and things like that, so that we're not, so to limit the amount of like clear cutting and large scale cutting that we're seeing in Scarborough that we've seen recently.
Okay,
and those standards, when adopted, would then be enforced by the planning board through the site plan review process that
Yeah.
all businesses go through when they are initiating development or expansion.
Yeah, so like if we're able to expand the requirements, right now it's just for town properties and it'll be largely administered through Public Works.
Will any of that, cover control for invasive species along public rights of way and things like that? 'Cause those are some of the worst areas.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there, so right now, the ordinance kind of codifies the town's ability to essentially deal with like nuisance trees or nuisance plants that may be obstructing views or causing hazards on private ways. It doesn't necessarily speak to invasive specifically. But it is, it would give the town the ability to either require the landowner take care of any kind of nuisance issues that are encroaching on the public right of way. Or if the landowner isn't responsive, it gives the town the ability to go in and take care of it ourselves and essentially at the cost of the homeowner, either through a lien or something like that. So
What if it's not a landowner issue?
if it's a town issue,
Yeah, I mean, just like, you drive down roads and along a lot of the rights of way. It's not just necessarily like throwing off of people's properties.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not maintained.
right? So that, I mean, we already have the ability to kind of deal with that. It's just the resource and capacity to do it. So,
I don't know whether you can hear me. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can.
Okay. It strikes me that this tree ordinance is a step in the right direction, but I don't see the town as being the offender. I think the developers and private landowners are the big offenders in terms of clear cutting. And I'm thinking particularly about that piece of property off of Holmes Road, where they put up this huge corral. And they cut down every tree over there.
Mhm.
It seems to me like this should be, I think a good thing going forward would be to extend this to commercial development. I mean, residential development.
So, this, like I said, this is a first step. We're trying to see kind of what the community response is to it. We've heard from a lot of people who are concerned about the amount of cutting that's happening in Scarborough. It's really challenging because there really are no, laws that other than shoreland zoning that regulate cutting trees in Maine. And so, and we actually, got letters from the Maine Forest Service saying, you can't really do this, like you can't regulate tree cutting on private property. So we're gonna have to kind of see what
But I mean,
sticking points are and how to work within those.
but I mean, in terms of an approval standard for new developments. I mean,
Yes, but there's nothing stopping them from cutting down all of their trees and then coming to get their approvals. That's the challenge.
I can chime in briefly
That's
too
true.
from the planning perspective. Autumn and I have been talking about tree ordinances with the tree care ordinance, kind of next steps regarding development specifically. So that is something we're looking into, but like Jamie said, it is tricky depending on, what you're allowed to regulate, but it is something we have our eye on for
Is it
commercial
restricted by
development.
state law?
No.
So why couldn't you?
I can't remember. I'll have to go back and read the 4 or 5 page letter that we got from the Forest Service about what the issues were. Because it was over a year ago now, but I don't remember specifically. It is something like private property rights and things like that, like essentially, like in Maine, it's part of the culture that like you can cut trees on your property. We've got a lot of trees in Maine right now. We'll and we want to keep it that way. But yeah, there's it's difficult because there is nothing regulating the cutting of trees. Then, like I was saying, a developer can cut all of the trees on their property before they even come to planning board to get their approvals for their site development. So,
I'm not necessarily in favor of it, but it seems like you couldn't do that if there were an ordinance that said you couldn't do that.
right, but then.
Right, like if you needed permission or, and I'm not, again, I'm not necessarily speaking in favor of regulating that, sure.
I would love to
But-
see us move in that direction, but I think that's.
Sure,
a
but like
natural
if you had,
conversation.
you know, your trees are sick or something like that, you would put in a thing and say, here's why I'm taking these down. If you're just cutting them, then, you know, it's discretionary.
Yeah, and so the other challenge is just the town's capacity to regulate that, because we're not, like, if people are probably gonna do it anyway, and then we will have to either assess a
You gotta
fine.
Chase that.
Right, and so, and once that mature stand of trees is gone, it's never coming back. And so what level of fine will make a difference or make that seem okay? Because I would say that the ecosystem services that large stand of trees provides is very valuable. And so, you know, it might take a couple to be made examples of, but I think that there will be a lot of challenges. And so thinking about it in terms of like any development that goes through the planning board, like that will be that's more large scale, so that would be more impactful. The town isn't interested in doing anything on like residential property or anything like that. Like, you should be able to cut down a tree on your property if it's you know, dying, damaged, if it's a hazard, if it's gonna like fall on your house or something like that. If you just don't like it, yeah.
And that happens a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, every time somebody moves into our neighborhood, 25 trees come down, and they're a lot.
No, Jamie, I get all of that. But what I don't get is the developers that go in and they like just next to where we live, Grandin, the developer came in, decided to build 6 or 7 new houses. There was a nice stand of trees. I went out there and I said, how many of these are you going to cut? And he said, well, as many as we need to. And then he clear cut them all. You know, this is egregious. And I understand what the Forestry Service says and all of that. But I mean, we should spend some time to think about how we can prevent this from happening.
Yeah,
You know,
and
I have a
like,
question.
Rather
Is
than
that-
just saying, well, there's regulations, we can't do this, we can't do that. It just seems like it's learned helplessness to me.
well, and like Helen said, she and Autumn have been talking about it and looking into ways that they might be able to put some requirements in place through ordinances that for any development that goes through planning board.
Are there
it's-
models in any other communities?
Not in Maine, not that we found in Maine. South Portland, I think kind of does, but I can't remember what the challenge was, and I think there's even applied to like residential properties and things like that.
Okay,
So it's a
and
matter of figuring out how to work it through the planning board process.
is this a topic that Conservation Commission is
Yeah,
working on?
Yeah.
Can we just trust it to them?
Yeah.
Or is that something we need to,
No,
Okay.
definitely, I
Okay.
will kind of keep you apprised as things.
that sounds
progress.
great.
Well, I will tell you, having been on the Conservation Commission, at least 10, 12 years ago, Jay Chase raised this issue and it went nowhere. And it seems like it will continue to go nowhere.
Autumn and Helen are pretty,
Yeah. I mean, this tree care ordinance and Tree City USA is a first step, kind of a palatable step to get kind of people on board and thinking about this so that we may be able to go farther in the future.
super important. We'll continue the conversation. Anything else from town council?
No,
Anything from planning board?
Helen, do you have a planning board update?
I have a planning board update. So last month we had a couple site plan amendments on the agenda, and the Joni's Way subdivision was approved, the final subdivision. So that's a 4-lot residential subdivision. And on the agenda this month, the Elmwood preliminary subdivision is coming before the board, I believe for the 3rd time. That's the larger conservation subdivision with a cell tower in the center of it, for anyone who's been following. So continuing discussion on that. The Downs has a couple proposals before the planning board, including the Maine Mariners practice facility that's been submitted as a site plan. So following with that, we have a couple sketch plans. There's also 2 affordable housing proposals coming to planning board. There's the Dunstan Affordable Housing, which I believe is 10 affordable units in the Dunstan Crossing subdivision, which had already been approved when that subdivision was going through. And then a sketch plan for Oak Hill, where the dance studio is now, in that sort of shopping center area. That is being proposed as mixed use office and residential. And I believe they're proposing to use density factor to provide affordable units. But that's a sketch plan, so we'll see what happens with it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Helen. Any questions for conservation? I mean, sorry, for planning board. I jumped a line. Conservation Commission? Kind of
Conservation-
talked about that a little bit already.
We did talk about that a little bit already. They have been focusing on goal setting for 2026. And they will continue their discussion at their next meeting.
Okay, questions for Conservation Commission? We remind them to think about the trees.
Oh, yeah, it's on there.
Okay, Climate Action Plan, you gave us a brief update at the top of the meeting.
I did give you a brief update at the top of the meeting. So we are going to be forming our kind of our working group. They will likely meet for the first time in February, late February, to go over our greenhouse gas inventory and talk about kind of priority areas that the plan will need to focus on. Jeff had volunteered to be the representative from Sustainability Committee
Thank you, John.
on that, in that group. And so more information will be coming to Jeff in this group in the new year. And then, as I mentioned, we are hoping to get kind of the dashboard set in live probably early in the new year, and then we'll really start pushing out information about the climate action plan. Right now, it's been a lot of kind of background and laying the groundwork for the plan, so that once we announce that it's coming, there will be information out there and available for people to access.
Perfect.
I did want to just throw out two additional notes that I saw this morning, that the Scarborough Schools has put out the call for people to apply to serve on the school building committee. So if anyone is interested in kind of being part of that process, I'll include the link
Rick
to.
Meinking did that for us.
Yes, he
last
did.
time around.
And he's hoping to do it this time around. Also, I've already sent him the link. He's really hoping that they will do something a little bit more innovative than geothermal.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But it may be worth having an active member of
Yes.
this committee monitor that as well, just to bring updates and let us know when this committee needs to intervene in
Yeah.
that process. I mean, I think we can count on
Yeah,
Rick to let us know when we
Yeah.
need to intervene. But if I just put it out there that if somebody is willing and interested in playing that role, that could be useful for us. You have two though?
Yep, and the other one is just an update on the sustainability reserve account. We actually have a development, I think it's for a veterinary office, that has chosen to pay the in lieu fee for their EV chargers because of site constraints. So there will be $8,000 that is going to be contributed to the sustainability reserve account from the EV charging fee in lieu. And so knowing that we have that bump, we may want to consider a request to the town council to use some of that funding for the kind of solar advisor that we've been talking about over the past couple of meetings.
That sounds like a really good idea.
Yep. So we can discuss that more in January. I'm not sure of the timing of that payment. I'm pretty sure it's before they get their kind of building permits, they need to pay that fee in lieu. So
And I couldn't quite pick up for what purpose we would use the money.
for the solar advisor that we've been talking about, so to kind of evaluate municipal sites for accessory solar projects.
Excellent.
I've been talking to some folks about solar development, and it seems pretty clear that until the main driver is gonna be state regulation,
Mhm.
and until there's a overhaul of the existing regulation, there's probably not gonna be a ton of,
Interest and,
yeah, or at least viability.
yeah,
Probably a lot of interest, just not really making it work.
okay,
I'm continuing to talk to people, so I don't know that that's a 100% final answer, but. That's sort of the initial responses here.
so what, and was anything carried over from the previous session? The legislation to deal with kind of the net metering and all of that stuff?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I can check on that.
And I think from this committee's perspective, our decision was to continue moving forward because there's a lot of preliminary legwork.
Yeah,
to be
sort
done.
of continue to evaluate and see what sites are. Try to get us set up so that when the time comes that
So that
we're
we can
not
be first in
starting.
line, that we're not like,
Yeah.
because there will be a huge rush when that gets settled.
I suspect, I mean,
There's-
hopefully.
There's gotta be,
Depending on how.
there's gotta
Depending
be,
on how they.
but I think it does make sense for us to have at least a few of our ducks lined up so that we're not starting from,
I think
from
that's a great
still.
planning strategy.
okay.
Do you know how long, sorry, could go back, you know what the frequency of the school building committee?
Monthly, at least. So I will send out the information that I have. But it looks like it's going to be Tuesday evenings on a monthly basis.
I'd be interested.
Excellent.
It will be a huge amount of work.
Yeah,
Because the scope of the projects, it isn't just a project.
Right.
There's multiple projects that are
yeah,
encompassed by the funding that was approved by.
We didn't want to make it easy by just doing one.
yeah, no, it's a new school and modifications and upgrades to existing schools.
Yeah.
and-
It tries to solve the portables
Yeah.
everywhere. and
Yeah.
It took a lot of work, and that committee, which I sat on, was meeting every week for months.
Yeah,
So I caution people to know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
well, and
I should talk to would be Rick Meinke.
Yeah.
You know him?
No.
You didn't overlap on that? That's fine.
I'll connect you to
Yeah.
also. But I suspect there will be subcommittees formed, because it is kind of, I mean, if you look at the information that they've put out. They're looking for, people with construction background, utility background, interior design background. So I'm thinking they're gonna have to have subcommittees that are
Yes.
kind of dealing with these different things. Tuesday evenings, one Tuesday evening a month, but I'm guessing like subcommittees will meet more frequently depending on what they're working on, what the needs are.
And
Um,
Thomas has-
I don't think did we ever finish our conversation about Sustainability Day? Not that we want to do it now, but if you've got you need to fill a gap in your agenda, decide what we're going to do.
Well, I think that we were gonna regroup in the new year and talk about it a little bit more in the new year. I mean, we can talk about it now since we have a half hour.
No, Jamie, I'm not suggesting we talk about it now, but I think it's probably something you want to talk about sooner rather than later.
Definitely is, and I will say, I shared this group's thoughts with the Conservation Commission last month, and they feel like you gotta give it another try. Can't just call it on this last one. If next year, do it again and it's another low turnout, then would be the time to talk about pulling the plug.
And I've continued to want us to find a way to integrate better with the school system. And I know the school system's really difficult to work with on these sorts of things, but getting a curriculum tie-in, there is an ecology class required at the high school. There are standards at the middle school and the grade school levels. And so there are ways that we could provide the school system a service. Which might be a piece of our ongoing activity, and it might be to build those relationships with the school department. So that we can get ourselves into classrooms with activities, so that we can more actively engage the school community in something like sustainable Scout Road. But I also really liked the ideas of putting our information and activity out to some of these other places where people already are.
Yeah,
We've had a booth at Summerfest a couple of times. It's been minimally engaged. Summerfest is really a bunch of tweens marching around, doing other things. Um, Yeah.
I remember that we talked in the lead up to Sustainable Scarborough Day about engaging the school, and a couple of you, I think Patrice and you
Yeah.
reinforced, they really weren't responsive.
They weren't- they weren't.
Go ahead, Patrice.
Just, I was, when people start to talk about sustainable thing again, I'm involved in the, Casco Bay, clean up Casco Bay stuff, having a place on one of the islands out there. And there was this thing, I ripped it out. Student art speaks to changing Casco Bay. We teamed up with Maine College of Art and Design students to explore Casco Bay past and present challenges. We featured their artwork at our annual meeting and on our website. And I was thinking to go back to the schools, but start earlier and get them to various grades or, middle school, elementary school, high school, whatever, do a sculpture art project out of trash and stuff that they found around, or maybe at the high school level, they can even do some of the things the students did were videos about why it's important to clean up the environment and the challenges out there, and trees that, clear cutting that could come into it too. I'd be certainly willing to try to get back into the school if they have more time to talk now and consider something like that.
Yeah, well, the reason I brought it up is because I had talked to a few people about the event, and I brought this part up. Now, I don't know the politics, so I'm just sort of brainstorming here, but some people suggested not going, sort of like not relying on the school administration to do it, but to try to find ways to engage directly with teachers and with the student clubs, that they would be very interested in it, but maybe there's this sort of wall, like the administration doesn't have the time to take it on, and so they don't connect us with anybody. But if we were able to connect with them, I don't want to, be going around people in a way that's not appropriate, but
I think we can reach out directly to the environmental science teachers.
That's what I'm
that
talking
see all of the
This
ninth
is what
graders.
I'm-
We can reach out directly to the art teachers. We can reach, and we can
Right.
find that contact information on the school department website.
Right.
And there's nothing to prevent us.
and
from-
someone would.
Well,
connect-
when I went and spoke to the people in the office, they didn't seem to think that was a good idea.
Well, I think that we,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
everything had to go through the
Forgiveness.
superintendent and, yeah.
well, you don't ever so I spent several years working with a middle school science mentoring girls program thing. And that was arranged through the coordinator and the teachers in the building, and every once in a while, the principal would come along and freak out because we had DNA or something, the administration was very difficult, but the teachers that we worked with were very responsive. And so I think we can make some of those connections ourselves. We may be able to interface with the curriculum director to ask specifically where we could interface with the curriculum of the school department. But I think that going to the central office and trying to find somebody to talk to is a no-win.
Well,
So-
that was my experience. Another thing we brought up was going through the library, and they seem to have a better relationship with the school, and they are
That's a good
very
idea.
into sustainability now.
That's a good point.
And they are also, did you notice, I think it was in the town thing that they're doing that clothing swap? I think that's coming up maybe this week. You bring in stuff, and for everything you bring in, you can take something home, which is a great idea. And they're
Do
doing
that
it for
Halloween
kids.
costumes.
Yeah,
Well, and I want to give a shout out to Deb's daughter, Mara, who's doing, if you've noticed on the town social media, every week there's a kind of sustainable holiday post. Those are all courtesy of Deb's daughter, who's doing it as part of a project that she's working on through UNE. So we're putting information out on social media. There was an article in the most recent e-newsletter, and she's also hosting a workshop at the library coming up in a couple of weeks, like kind of alternatives to paper, wrapping paper. And so wrapping gifts in different ways, creating less waste. So that's a fun series. And I don't know if she noticed on the post on Instagram over the weekend, it was about shopping small, and so many local businesses came on and tagged like other local businesses and like kind of gave
I'm not on
them
Instagram. So I
gave
didn't
them
see that.
support.
That didn't happen on Facebook.
It did not happen on Facebook, but it happened on Instagram, and I thought it was super cool that like the businesses took it upon themselves to promote other Scarborough businesses.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
All right.
All right.
Do we have anything else that we need to do today, or shall we run away?
Well, schools are historically difficult to interface with.
Yeah, and especially now, it's gotten a lot harder over the past.
You know,
couple
and,
years.
and they have a full plate, unfortunately.
And they have a really strange set of political pressures, right? now
Yeah.
that make it
Yeah,
really
so
difficult for them to take all
This,
things that feel controversial.
Yeah.
while my contact is always with the school board
Mhm.
and the chair, and she seems very approachable.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if this is the right time now. Although from our perspective, there's never a wrong time
Yeah.
to advance it.
Mhm.
So,
That's actually an interesting point as well, that it might be worth somebody having just a quick conversation with the school board and just say, we're the sustainability committee and these are the things that we're interested in, and we would love to be able to interface with the school. As if we haven't tried and it hasn't, like, it just,
Yeah,
I mean, if
I,
you were to give the chair just a quick update on what we're doing and how we'd love to be able to interface with the school, but we don't wanna improperly encroach on other people's responsibilities and
Mhm.
that might be a nice way to, let's see if there's some positive feedback.
and if they're open to it, I mean, I could go to a school board meeting, or we could send somebody else to a school board meeting, just to do a 5-minute spiel on who we are, what we do,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
ask if there are ways to interface. This
Yeah.
is actually, I like that idea.
Yeah,
And I think just sort of like pushing all of these levers,
exactly.
you never know where you're gonna find the lever that helps you to
Yeah,
access.
walk before we run. Yeah.
and it doesn't hurt to get information out to them multiple times throughout the year too.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep
And if we
it.
could get them
in front of
to
them.
partner with us on it in some sort of way,
Yeah.
or partner with us on anything in some sort of way. Then it's not like us trying to get them to do something. but it's us
Right,
getting
because
them to do
the
something.
teachers, the staff who are responsible for these kind of topics would be very interested in understanding where the town of Scarborough is going,
Right.
as led by the sustainability committee.
And I
Mhm.
remember in years ago, I mean, I don't remember why, but I know I talked about the sustainability committee or the energy committee
Mhm.
at the middle school as part of their energy unit in a science class. And we talked about solar panels and we talked like, I think it might have been when we were putting those solar panels on some of the buildings
Yeah.
that happened. So I think this is worth pushing on harder. And if you can make some of those initial content,
Mhm.
we just need to be in their face. And find the people that are gonna be open to hearing from us. Because, I mean, we said over and over again that that's the way to get change on some of these issues. I mean, that's the way to get change on recycling and composting is for the kids to be engaged in those questions at the school, and then they bring that information home.
Mhm.
We aren't gonna loop the adults in very easily.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. I was recently think I might have mentioned this, but I paint. I'm an artist, and I was in an art show, and my grandchildren came to the opening, which was a cocktail reception, whatever. And my 6-year-old came up to me and said, "Grammy, this is very wasteful. They're using paper plates and little plastic forks. You shouldn't be doing this." And I thought, yes, the kids are getting it.
They really are.
Shannon Lindstrom's pretty approachable in my experience
Mhm.
with spending a year on that.
Yeah,
committee.
Yeah,
and I don't know her well, but our sons have been roommates at college the last semester, so I could. Why don't I reach out to Shannon
Okay.
first? And
Yep.
then,
Be good,
great.
yeah,
we'll see. what
as
we do.
chair, yeah,
Yeah, as
Yep.
chair of this committee,
Yeah.
as chair of that committee.
yeah.
But also
Hey,
someone that has children that in the schools and stuff. It's so important.
right, well, I only have one left, but.
Well,
Ian's-
that's better than
More than I
none.
have in the Scarborough school
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
Well, he only goes there for a couple hours a day. He's a very minimalist senior.
But that's another topic.
That's another topic.
I have
That's
a
part
kin-
of
I have a
my
kindergartner
parents are
if
old
we're
enough to make
interested.
children.
I have a kindergartner if we're interested in the opposite end of
Yeah.
abilities.
Well, let me talk to Shannon and see where we might interface with the school system.
Great.
Yeah,
Quickly, I did want to ask about our regular January meeting date, will be, because that's the next time we'll meet. Would be January 28th. There's a good chance I will be at a conference that week, so I wanted to ask about bumping it a week earlier to the 21st. If people are amenable, that's better for you.
Yep, that's fine.
Works for me.
All right, so we'll, our next meeting date will be on January 21st, 2026.
Gracious sakes alive. Okay,
It's crazy.
All
thanks
right.
all.
Okay.
I will redouble my efforts to not drop this ball on the bill. And I
You
think
can
we've got,
chat with the counselors this evening at the reception to see if they would be interested in taking
I
up.
probably will.
yeah.
I probably won't be able to stop myself from asking some personal questions as well, but it's just me. Elections. All right, everybody, then I will suggest that we close this meeting. Jamie's got a couple things. Watch for those links for the transportation survey and I forget what else.
School building committee.
School building committee information. Jamie will put Dan in touch with Rick. Jamie will listen and she'll do all the things that we told her to do because she's amazing. And we'll see you all in January.
All
Happy
righty,
holidays,
bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.